So this is a free class offered by CECA along with our other provisions, other services. So we offer free student visa extension and expert education advice along with our PTE IELTS and NATI coaching. So if any of your friends are interested in preparing for IELTS or for PTE, please refer them to us. Our PTE classes are from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock Sydney time or Canberra time. And IELTS classes are from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, again, Canberra time. If any of you or your friends need any of these classes, refer them to us. Before we move on, have you guys had a chance? So Bolor said she was quite busy this weekend. She didn't have a chance. How about you, Nivedita? Were you able to practice?
Not as much I was expecting. I was busy too this weekend.
Okay. And did you make a profile with these websites? Would you?
Real PT, I made one.
Okay. And do you find it useful when you practice?
Yes, it
Or
does.
it has a lot of material to practice from. Did you ever encounter questions in Mandarin and you didn't know what to do?
Mm,
No.
no.
So real PT, sometimes the questions just appear in Mandarin and it becomes a loop. So every question that you press next starts coming up in Mandarin. So I'll tell you what to do if you just come across a problem like that. For
Okay.
today, let's start off with reading. Before we continue with reading, you should know that reading does not have a specific hack or strategy like other modules. So reading is where you actually need to work hard and read, and the questions tend to appear from APE Uni and Real PTE. So see that you practice every reading question first from APE Uni and then from Real PTE.
Okay.
So there's a big chance that it will appear from there. Okay, let me take you to reading. PTE reading is for a total of about 34 to 41 minutes. That's your entire reading time.
Okay.
And reading has about 5 different types of questions. The difference between reading and another module of PTE is you're just given 34 to 41 minutes and you're given a heap of tasks and you just need to complete them in the given time.
Okay.
So this you'll have 5 different types of questions in your PT reading. You start off with this question type called reading and writing fill in the blanks. So it has both, even though there's no writing involved, this is called reading and writing fill in the blanks because it also gives you points to writing along with reading. So if you just give me a minute more, I'll just open up another PowerPoint, which I just need to share to you. I don't know why I'm repeating the word and just today. Not able to come out of it.
It's okay.
All right. So this is your reading question type list. This is how it's going to look like. So you'll have about 5 different types of questions in your reading, and you have 34 to 41 minutes. The first question type is called multiple choice single answer. This is how you choose from. Please mark this question as not important. Since you already have attended the listening class, you know what to do with this question. So what happens here is, because it's your reading module, all your questions are in the form of a reading passage. So the question that is displayed on your screen is in the form of a reading passage. You'll have a paragraph, and then there is a sentence that asks you a question based on this paragraph, and you'll have to choose the right answer from them. So there's only one correct answer, And because you've taken your listening module, you already know what to do with your multiple choice single answer. Try and solve it, but because it's reading, all your questions are quite time consuming or they require your time and energy. So if you feel that you get stuck, please choose the third option and move on. Don't dwell on each question type. The maximum time that you can spend per question is about less than a minute. Don't dwell on it. Simply choose the third option and move on. So the text or the question length is going to be about 110 words. The question passage, the length of it is going to be about 110 words. And you're marked based on the right or wrong answer. Every time you choose the right answer, you get a point. So please don't dwell on it. It doesn't give you a lot of points towards your reading module. Mark it as not important. That means do not practice it at home, but we will just go through it today. So the skill that is assessed is your reading. That means it gives you points only to your reading module here. The second question type that you will actually come across is your reading and writing blanks, the one that is right here in the bottom. This is the second question type that you will be following in your test. But I'm just written it based on the priority, but this is your second question type, reading and writing fill in the blanks. So here you will have a reading passage that is given to you, and the reading passage is going to have blanks in between. So these blanks have a drop down arrow, and if you click on it, you'll have options displayed. Reading passage is given, the passage contains a blank, the blank has options given to you, and you'll have to choose the right answer from the given option. So in short, the task is fill in the blanks question for a reading passage. And you're marked for every right answer that you fill in. So there's something called partial credit. If your reading blank contains 5 blanks, and if you can answer 2 of the blanks correctly and 3 are wrong, you'll still get points to reading as well as writing. So every blank carries a point to reading and a point to writing. It's very important. Mark it as very, very important. So this can give you about 30, if there are about 5 or 6 of these questions, reading and writing blanks, there is going to be 5 or 6 of these questions in your test, and you will have at the least 30 points given to your writing. At least the writing will get 30 points from here. And after any doubts so far, are we clear?
Yes.
So this is quite important. So following this, the next question type is going to be reorder paragraph. This is your third question type, reorder paragraph. So whatever I'm going to tell you about it now might not be too clear. So the explanation I'm giving to you now, this description might not be too clear, but I'll do my best. But when we explain or when we go into detail, you'll understand this question. So please pay attention. In your reorder paragraph, on your left hand screen or on the screen on your left hand, you will have sentences taken from an excerpt. It could be from a newspaper, it could be from a journal, it could be from a book. So you'll have sentences taken from a paragraph from any random source. And these sentences from the paragraph are arranged in the wrong order. So the sentences that are taken from a source are arranged in the wrong order. Your job is to drag it and you put them on your right hand side in the right order. That's your task description. Sentences taken randomly from one paragraph are put in the wrong order. Your task is to drag it, arrange it in the right order. Am I clear?
Yes.
You'll
Yes.
have about 2 or 3 of these questions, 2 to 3 of these questions. So the marking criteria is a bit different. Can you please can you take a picture or write this down? Marked for every correct pair. Marked for correct pair. I'll explain more about it. So even though your task is to drag it and put it in the right order, you're not marked for the order that you make, but you're marked for the pairing of the sentences, which I will explain in detail as we move on to that question type. So far, the marking criteria is you're marked for every correct pair of sentences that you make. It does not transfer any points to other modules. It gives you points straight away to reading. So even though this is an important question type, mark this as the least of your priority for your import. It is an important question type, but it is not the most important question type. Okay, so mark it as little important or slightly important or something like that. Okay, you'll have 2 or 3 of these questions in your test. These questions, these reorder paragraphs, they are a headache question to many students. If you ask me personally, they're a headache question even to me. But these questions are not weighing, or they do not carry a lot of weightage towards your reading. So even though they are time consuming, they are a little difficult to solve. Please be careful with these questions. Okay, I mean, don't waste a lot of time doing a lot of reorder paragraph. So mark it as slightly important and a little important or something like that. Followed by reorder paragraph is this question type: multiple choice, multiple answer. So I'm telling it in the order of which they appear in your test. So followed by reorder paragraph, you get multiple choice, multiple answer. So since you've already been there for listening, you guys know what to do with these. You will have a reading passage that is given to you, and there is a question which is asked based on this passage, and there are options given to you in the form of bullet points, which is squared in shape. And you'll have to choose the right answer. It says multiple answer. That means there is more than one correct answer. Every time you choose the right option, you get a point, but be careful because this question has negative marking. So unless you're sure about your answer, do not choose it. So there are about 2 or 3 of these questions in your test. And the most important thing to remember is the negative marking. So don't worry, don't waste a lot of time. Simply choose the third option if you get stuck. Okay? The third option for this is usually the right answer. Okay, when I say usually, there's a high chance. When I say high chance, there is very little chance that it's not going to be the third option here, especially for this question type. So please don't take a risk. Okay, choose only one correct answer, one answer that you're sure of. You know that the third option is the right answer. So don't take a risk because you do not want a negative marking for no reason. For this question, multiple choice single answer, you can play around because there is no negative marking. So you can actually think and take your own decision. But for this, I suggest that you stick to the third option because of negative marking, unless you're sure that another answer is also the correct answer. Any doubts?
No, all clear.
Okay. Amy, welcome. And if you've got any doubts, let me know, okay? Amy, Nivedita, and all 3 of you. I know you'll ask, but I'm just letting you know that treat it as an informal session. The last question type that you will be coming across in your reading is called reading fill in the blanks. Mark this as very important for reading. So the reading and writing fill in the blanks is very important for reading as well as writing, whereas reading fill in the blanks is very important for your reading. Please mark it as very important. You'll have 4 to 5 of these questions in your test. This gives you points only to reading, so no transferable to any module, but it supports your reading to a big extent. So you'll have to work hard on these 2 questions. What happens in this question type? There is a reading passage that is displayed to you, and there are options given to you right below in boxes. You'll have to drag the right option and drop it in the blank. Drag the right option and put it in the blank. That's your job. Any doubts?
No.
So I'll just close this, and so that's actually my PowerPoint for my personal tutoring. So I'll just bring out the PowerPoint for today's lesson. Give me a minute. Okay. So take a picture if you want of this. Okay. So this is your reading questions. So for you to get your reading points, sometimes it's not very easy to get all your reading points from your reading module itself, because reading can be a bit of trouble. So what you do is, your biggest importance is you read aloud from your speaking. So remember, the content of your read aloud transfers to your reading. So your aim, if you're looking at a band 8, your job is to get at least 33, 32 or 33 from your content of read aloud towards your reading. So that's why I suggest that before you take your test, before you spend $375, take a Pearson mock test. Take speaking only to see if your transferables are right. If you're speaking and listening full, so there are buy two tests. That's what I was suggesting, Nivedita, as well the other day. Buy two tests, you get it in a package. So take the first test, so that you know that it's marked by Pearson anyway. So you know exactly where your transferable is coming from. So you will know, okay, my read aloud is giving me about 30 plus points to reading. And you will know that your repeat sentence is giving you about 40 plus points towards your listening. So you know, okay, my transferables are fixed and I'm going to clear it this time, instead of, wasting the money over and over. So your biggest transferable comes from read aloud, which gives you about 30 to 34 points. I've also seen cases where it gives 35, 36 points as well. Okay, so your job is to get 32 plus. If you're looking at 8, if you're looking at band 7, 28 plus points from here towards your reading. From your writing, you remember the summarized written text. Have we done writing before? We have not, right? So there is this question type, summarized written text from your writing, which gives you points towards your reading. Then from your listening, these two question types, highlight correct summary, where you choose the third option, that summary question, as well as highlight incorrect word, where you proofread and you highlight the words that are not matching. So this is very important for you. It gives you about 10 to 15 points towards your reading. So that's why this question is important. So this also has negative marking. So remember that. Are you guys revising it like I tell you? Are you able to remember it from previous lessons?
Yes, yes.
So
Yes.
these are
Not
your,
sure about writing, but
yeah.
speaking and listening, yes.
Yes, okay. So these are your important question type that is giving you points towards your reading. So you have to pay. So while you're doing your reading, all along with all your reading questions, also make sure that you are quite familiar with these question types, and that you do it in the same strategy to get your transferables towards your reading. Take a picture throughout this PowerPoint. If you want to take a picture, you want to write down, feel free. Okay. Doesn't matter. I just want you to get your scores. Not too possessive about my PowerPoint anyway. Okay. So this is your multiple choice single answer question. This is how it looks like. This is a screen grab from Pearson mock test, from your Pearson mock test. This is a screen grab of it. So what happens is, see, can you see you're being timed like this? So your timer will keep showing you how much time you have remaining, how many questions are remaining. So this is how your real exam is also going to be like. You'll have the time remaining that is shown to you on your right hand corner. So you'll have a reading passage that is given to you, and there is a question asked based on this passage. There's only one correct answer, and there are options given to you. So if you ask me what is the strategy, I'll tell you the same strategy as we follow in the IELTS test for multiple choices. What do? We first skim through the passage. Skimming and scanning are the two skills that we require for reading. Skimming is reading for what? What are we reading for when we are skimming? Do you remember?
Reading just first sentences
Yes, we're reading only to get the
to get
gist of
the.
it, to get the big idea, big
Mm.
picture. So you're only skimming through, or you're running your eyes, not focusing on anything. When you're scanning for what? What does it mean when you're scanning?
You search for the keyword that
Ye-
gives you the answer.
Yes. So your mind already has a word or an information that you're looking for, and you're just scanning throughout the text to locate it. Okay, so scanning is for detail, whereas skimming is to get a big picture or to get an idea of it. So when you read through, if you're a quick reader, I suggest that you skim through, but please, even as I tell you all these strategies, you know what to do, right? Simply choose the third option. Don't waste your time because we're doing PTE and not the IELTS test. So if you read through, skim through if you can, and read through the sentence. One present indicator of climate change in Australia is, just like we do in the IELTS test, mark your keyword, present indicator, climate change. Present indicator, think of synonyms. Present could be today, current, and all that. Indicator could be sign, symptom, and all that. Climate change, weather change, temperature variation, temperature increase, decrease, and all that in Australia is. Now, before you read the options, try and locate where this information is in the passage. So present indicator of climate change. So we go looking for either indicator or climate change. And we are now
Drought.
scanning. Drought is the answer. That's the right answer. So present indicator, well done, Nivedita. So climate change
Thank
is
you.
found over here. Higher temperature. We'll have focus much on climate change is found here. So we have the exact thing. And now we go through these options and try to locate if any of these options are found. So we see that drought is one of the traits of climate change, and drought is the answer. Good job on that. So that's how we choose it. But you know the drill. If you get stuck, simply choose the third option. Having said that, while you're practicing in any of the practice websites, or even if you're taking the Pearson mock test, the answer need not be the third option. But in your exam, I'm going off the record. Third option. Okay, recording again. So this is a strategy for your multiple choice questions for both multiple choice strategy. Read your question statement, identify the keyword, scan to locate where the information is found. Now read the portion surrounding it carefully, go and look at your options, try to find out the answer. So while you're doing your multiple choice and multiple answer, just like I tell my IELTS students as well, the answer to your multiple choices, or when they're asking you to locate the right summary and all that, usually the answer is found in the first or the last sentence of the paragraph. So while you're skimming, pay extra attention to the first sentence and the last sentence of the passage. Nivedita, did you know this hack when you were doing your IELTS? The first and last sentence of every passage? Were you aware? Okay. So every time you choose the right answer, you get 1 point to reading. Any doubts? You'll have 2 or 3 questions. If you have 2 questions, you already have 2 points in your pocket. If there are 3 questions, you already have 3 points in your pocket. Any doubts with this?
No.
Oh,
The next question type is called multiple choice, multiple answer. So I'll just show that to you from Real PTE. Let me drag it up. So this is your Real PTE screen. And Nivedita, you told that you made a profile here, right? Please also start practicing from APE Uni, your reading questions. Give
Okay.
high priority to APE Uni and then Real PTE for reading.
Okay.
So before you write your test, you should know for sure, or you should have solved all the questions in APE Uni and in Real PT.
Okay.
So let me show you multiple choice, multiple answer. So this is how your question is going to look like, and you'll have a sentence. A reading passage is given to you. A question is asked based on this passage. You're given options. So it says multiple answer. That means there's more than one correct answer. If you choose more than one answer, you get a point. So let's read the question statement. According to the article, which of the following are true about this instant noodle business? So we can't go scanning for information because they're asking which of these is true. So we have to read each sentence and then go and find out. So can you take about 2 minutes, read a sentence, go find out if it's true. If it's true, then mark it. Can you try and solve this? I'll give you about 2 minutes. Is that okay? Time
Yes.
starts time starts now.
Fifth one is the answer.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the answer. Okay.
Mm.
So if you look at the answer, third answer and the last answer was the correct answer. So if you look at it, so this is um, just to bring your attention to how time consuming these buggers are. These are like very time consuming question and they don't give you a lot of points as well. So that's why I suggest don't practice them. So if you look at it, you read the first one. Mr. Ando's products are not well known outside of Japan. Products well known outside, that's a qualifier of Japan. So products, you know, what are the products? Noodles, well known, could be a word like popular or something like that. Well liked, something like that. So we go looking for it. So he had sold, which of the following are true, are not well known? It is well known. So this cannot be the answer. The next one, instant noodles came to the market, they cost much less. No, it says here they cost much more, 6 times more. So it cannot be the answer. Mr. Ando's business successful with the public. It says yes, because the Japanese voted noodles as their most important 20th century invention. So it's successful. Purchased the firm Nissan for $3 million. No, nothing about purchasing. And I was initially concerned about having so many competitors, not given the answer. People in the noodle business initially ridiculed. Ridiculed is laughing. Somewhere it says that they were laughing. Laughed at. So he was ridiculed or mocked at. These are time consuming questions. So try and solve them. But again, you know what to do if you can't get the answer within a minute. The next question type, which is not important, is multiple choice single answer questions, where there's only one correct answer. Every time you choose the right answer, you get a point. Sorry. So this is your multiple choice single answer question. It's the same thing. What is the main issue which is concerning the writer? Main issue. So whenever a question is asking about summary, usually the answer is found in the first sentence or in the last sentence, usually. So if you look at it, the reasons behind Aristotle's philosophy, all these are your options. The cause of differences between languages, the extent to which language influences thought, reasons behind Aristotle's philosophy. So we skim through, trying to understand the gist of it and try to understand what's the main issue. If our language acts as a pair of glasses with tinted lenses, can we go one step further? Are these lenses actually distorting? Does our language predispose us to a particular line of thinking and warp our view of reality? Does the difference that exists between languages in their grammatical structure or in their vocabulary actually control our patterns of thought? As some linguists have asked, how different would Aristotle's logic have been if he had spoken Mandarin or Hopi? What do you think is the answer?
Third one, the extent to which language influences thought.
Thought, yes. So they're telling if you think in English, your thoughts are different to if you can think in another language. So if I think in English and if I think in another language, then maybe my thoughts vary. That's what it says. And if you can see the difference too when you're thinking into. That's what they say. So that's the right answer. So these are time consuming. If you can get it like this, then good. But if not, then you know what to do. Can we move on to the important question types?
Yes.
Okay, so we have about an hour and 20 minutes. So we'll practice a little bit of these questions as and when. So we'll start with reading and writing fill in the blanks, which is your most important question. So these are also called drop down fill in the blanks. So every blank carries a point to reading and a point to writing. Before we move on, or maybe let me introduce this and I'll bring to you another thing that I've prepared. So, how to go about this question? First of all, you should know that there are 5 or 6 of these questions, and they're quite important, very important actually. Every blank gives you a point to reading, a point to writing. You should spend about 3 minutes per question because you're managing your own time. Please spend about 3 minutes per question. So, while attempting these questions, what I suggest is these are academic passages. So, there is a big chance of you losing interest. So, I suggest that you read it aloud, trying to understand it in your own words. Okay, so let's start. At the end of the colonial era, as many new nations gained independence, relative levels of economic development became an important criterion by which to distinguish between countries. The former colonial powers and dash parts of the world generally became known as advanced industrial or developed countries. The former colonial powers and dash parts of the world. What do you think is the answer?
Wealthier.
Yes, because you're trying to understand the context, right? Trying to understand the meaning. Developed countries, dash former colonies, and poorer nations became known as less developed or more positively developing countries.
While.
Because that's a comparison made between the developed and the developing countries. Critics of the dash distribution of wealth across the globe highlighted the role which dash creation in some spaces. Critics of the dash distribution of wealth,
Even distribution of the.
critics of the even distribution of wealth or uneven, or is it balanced? So, in such cases, what we do is we um, try to eliminate or we try to discard the nonsense options. So of these, so you see that there are of these 4 there are few options that are nonsense. So for us to understand which is a nonsense option, I think we might need to read a bit more. Critics of the dash distribution of the wealth across the globe highlighted the role which dash creation in some places had played in impoverishing poorer nations and rather described them as actively underdeveloped. The question as to whether economic change is developing or underdeveloping countries remain a vital issue, as a debate over sweatshops highlights. So critics of the dash distribution of wealth. So it is not even or
Fair
fair.
or balanced.
Yeah. So these are um, even
Wrong.
these are your nonsense options. So it's somewhere
Mm.
between balanced or uneven, I think. I don't know. But what do you think is the answer?
Uneven.
Maybe. So across the globe highlighted the role which dash creation in some places had played.
Wealth creation.
Okay, so we look at our answer. So we see that's wealthier, while, uneven, and wealth. So that's 4 points to reading and 4 points to writing. So we understood a technique called elimination, where we get rid of the nonsense options. So each of these, when you look at the options, at least two, at least one or two would be nonsense. So get rid of them so that you're left with fewer options. Can you please make a note of it? The second technique to solve these questions is something called prediction, where you read and you try to predict, okay, what might be the form of the word, what could be the word. So you understand the context, or you try to read it aloud to predict the form of the word. For example, let's do another one. So are you ready for this?
Yes.
So first thing is to read aloud, because reading is your third module in your test. So you would have to write, and then start with reading. You'll just finish your writing module and you'll be entered into your reading. So there's a big chance that your mind would be tired and diverted. Just to stay focused, read aloud. On March 18th, we told you that smoking doesn't make people happy. Well, we hear you ask, what will make me happy? What? What? Okay, first relax, then take out your wallet, because dash to a study published on the March 21st issue of Science, maybe prior, according, or something like that. So, what do you think is the answer?
According.
According. The rest of it is all nonsense, if you can see. According to a study published in this date, giving money to other people is what brings us joy. Scientists from Boston and British Columbia got to wondering whether money can really buy dash. What do you think is the answer?
Happiness.
Well
Happiness.
done. Well done. They were dashed by the fact that over the past 20 or 30 years, people in the US and other developed countries have been making much more money. They were dashed by the fact.
Data.
So, what is the nonsense option?
Bothered.
They were bothered by the fact.
No, bother is a nonsense option.
Is it nonsense option? Okay, you think bothered is a nonsense option. Chartered?
Mm.
Charted, maybe.
So, for this, if you look at, yes, chartered is also, you think chartered is the answer or it's a nonsense answer?
Answer.
So, if you look at it, can
Hmm.
you see, you should also pay attention to this preposition given here.
Hmm.
So, what is a preposition that you use with adapted? Adapting to
Two.
something, right? So, this cannot be adapted by. Adopted maybe by, but adapting or adjusting to something. So, this is your nonsense option. This definitely doesn't go with this preposition. Okay. Charted by can be. Disentangled. Disentangled means what? Tangle, you know how your earphones which have cords and all that, they tangle up, right? So disentangled means disturbed or disentangled or separated or something to do with that. Then bothered means disturbed. They were disturbed by the fact that over the past 20 or 30 years, people in the US and other developed countries have been making much more money, yet our happiness have been pretty much dash. Your nonsense is experiment, and
Third one.
literate is also nonsense.
Yeah. Income commensurate.
Incommensurate, I don't know the meaning, I haven't heard of it, but I do know the meaning of capsized. So capsized means to turn over or to overturn, go ulta. You know, when you go on a boat, they say the boat capsized, that means the boat turned over. So they are telling that they were dashed by the fact that for the past 20 or 30 years, people in the US and other developed countries have been making much more money. Yet, our happiness is pretty much dash. Capsized could be our answer. So now we go and look for this. They were dashed by the fact,
Bothered.
or they were disturbed by the fact. Then, what they found is that money can buy happiness, but only when you spend it on someone else. Ooh. In one dash, the dash asked volunteers to rate their happiness. In one, what do you think? Study or experiment or something. In one,
Experiment.
the dash asked volunteers to rate their happiness. So you know that you're looking for a group of people, scientists or somebody. The dash, oh, scientists asked volunteers to rate their happiness. Then they gave each subject some cash, either $5 or $20. Half the dash were told to spend the money on themselves. The others were asked to give it away. Half the people, half the,
Participants.
yes. So that's how you find the answer. So that's it. So you should always read aloud so that you have a discussion with yourself. If you take it on your mind, right, you'll get tired. You'll end up choosing the answer which you wouldn't choose if you were reading aloud. So the key is to read aloud. That's my personal tip. Okay. It's not like this strategy that everyone has. It's just my personal hack that I carry. So what we do is I'll just bring to you a few more things. Please give me a minute while I grab up uh, some grammar rules for you to tackle these blanks. Many students tell that this is a hard question type, but actually it's not. It's quite enjoyable. You just need to understand the context. Can you guys see my Word document?
Yes.
You know what I'll do? I'll just put this on chat so that you can download it as well. So I've just compiled it. Give me a minute. Have you got it?
Yes.
Okay, let's go through these rules together. Just compile it from others. These are not like my own rules, okay? I've compiled it from others, from mine, from everyone else. If there is a blank after this word to, then the blank is always a verb. So you're looking at a verb, you're looking for a verb. So if your options have anything other than a verb, good way to eliminate it. And this verb is always in the V1 form. So what does V1 form mean? Simple present tense. So always remember the phrase to do something. You won't say to done something, to doing something. You always say to do, right? So if there is a word after to, it's always going to be a verb, and the verb is always in the V1 form or in the present tense, simple present tense. Clear? If there is a verb after for or while, then that's also a verb, and the verb is going to be in the continuous tense or in the ing form. If there is a blank after it or which and that, then the blank also needs a verb, and this verb is in the plural form. For example, um, it understands the context, or it makes us. So any word followed by it is going to be a verb with an S because of the subject verb agreement. So even with which, the pen which, or the knife holder which holds the knife. So after which, the verb is always in the, most of the time it's in the S form. Then if there's any blank after is, am, are, this also has was and were. So these are called forms of be. You're aware of it, right?
Yeah.
So these are called forms of be, the verb be. So anything after in the be form, be, being, is, am, are, was, and were. All this will be in the ing form. So what I mean by that is, I'll just write it in here. So if I say am, that is always used mostly for the first person, right? I am writing. Then if I use we, second person, are writing. They are writing. Okay, so I am, then if I use it in the she is writing. So if I see this verb or auxiliary verb am, is, are, all in the present tense, it's always the verb is going to be, the main verb is going to be in the ing form. But if I look at another form of be, which is in the past tense, I was writing. She or they were writing. He or she was writing. We were writing. So these are called forms of be, the verb be. That's called a existential verb. So these are the forms of be. What are the forms of be? Be, being, been. Then is, are. So these are called be, being, been. And then is, am, are, was, and were. So any words following these are going to be in the ing form. Is this clear?
Yes.
Then the sentence is in the passive voice. This is clear, right? Do you have any doubts? So forget about this. Remember this. It's always going to be in the ing form. Any doubts with this? Quite easy, right? Any doubts?
No.
Okay. So next one is the word is in the passive voice. The verb is always going to be in the V3 form or in the past participle. So if I say the writing was done by her, right? This is in the passive voice. The writing. Here the writing is the. So if I write she was writing, there's no need of an object here in this active voice. So I would write the writing was done by her. So look at the verb was done. So this is in the V3 form. Do, did, done. So this is the V3 form of the verb. So in the passive voice, the verb is always going to be in the V3 form or in the past participle form. Guys are able to understand me?
Yes.
Or no? Okay, so the passive voice will also have. So like the forms of have was. Then if there is a blank after a, an, or the, then the word in the blank is always going to be a noun. So you know that after a, an, or the word in the blank is always going to be a noun. And this is going to be in the singular form most of the time. Sometimes it might not be, but most of the time it's going to be in the singular form. Clear?
Yes.
The society, a rule, an essay. So it's going to be in the V1, I mean, it's going to be in the singular form. We have another student who has just joined us. How shall I pronounce your name? Is that Dava Dorj?
Just call the Diggy.
I'm sorry.
Just call the Diggy.
Okay. B and G, Biggie, is it?
No, D-E-G-I, Diggy.
Diggy. Is this your
Yeah.
first? Is this your first time taking PTE?
Yeah, first time.
Have you taken any coaching before in any other?
No,
Okay. So you have not taken any classes as well?
yeah,
Have you taken PTE classes? No.
Yeah, it's a PTA class.
Okay. So we're just discussing PTE reading today. We discussed two types of question and we were discussing the third types of question. That's the blank. So we were just taking a rules at all. Look at all these grammar rules for this. So I'll just post it once more in the chat. So you can take a copy of this for your reference. Just give me a minute. So I've posted it again on chat and Diggy, you can take a look at it. I understand you're on train, you're traveling probably, so I won't disturb you. You can listen to classes. You can also access our previous PTE classes on YouTube because this is a class that's recorded and you can find it on CECA Sydney. This is a YouTube channel. You can access our previous classes on here. So if there is a blank after a and, or if there's a blank between a and the and a noun. So if it says a dash book, so you know that a dash book, a is there. So I'll just write it instead of me telling it. So if there is a blank after a and or the a, and then there is a blank, okay, and there is a noun book. So you know that the word in the blank is going to be an adjective. So it's going to be a boring book. Okay, so this is going to be an adjective. Am I making sense to you? So similarly, a blank after an, and then there is a blank, and then there is a noun. Then what do you know? It's an adjective. So you know it's an interesting book. Is this clear?
Yes.
Same thing with the dash society. You know that it's a now adjective there. The developed society. Okay, so if there is a word after, in between an and a noun, or a and a noun, the and a noun, then the word is usually going to be an adjective. Nivedita, are you clear with this?
Yes.
Bolor?
Yes.
Amy? Okay. So similarly, if there is a blank after have, had, or has, then the verb is always in the past participle because this is going to be in the, what is the tense? It's going to be in the perfect tense, right? So present perfect or past perfect. So if there is have, had, or has, then the sentence is going to be in the perfect tense of either present or past, okay, or future. So that's why it's going to be in the V3 form. So if I say I have lived in Sydney last year, I have lived in Sydney for 13 years now. So if I haven't, but I'm just making it up. If I say I have lived in Sydney, even though my main verb is ed, so because it's have, so it's have as the auxiliary verb, so that means it's in the simple, present perfect tense. So the auxiliary verb will be in the present tense, the main verb will be in the ed form. You'll also have or in the past participle. Same thing with had. If I say I had eaten my breakfast in the morning, I had eaten my breakfast before she came. So I had eaten, so it's something in the past perfect tense, something the action is completed in the past. And you see that the auxiliary verb is had, and then the main verb is in the V3 form. You guys are able to understand me? Do you want me to write it down? So
Yes.
if there is a verb in the, what's
Please
that?
Please repeat this one.
Okay, so if you see a sentence which is written in the present perfect tense, okay, or in the past perfect tense, this will contain has, have, and had. Okay, so these are the auxiliary verbs or the helping verbs. These words has, have, and has, they are also verbs, but they are helping verbs or they are auxiliary verbs. Now, so the main verb here in these sentences will be in the V3 form or will be in the past participle form. So, what is past participle? A verb has three forms. You're all aware of that. V1 is the base form of the verb. So, if you have a verb like maybe read, okay? So, this is in the present tense, it's called read. This is the base form, which is in the simple present. Now, if you have a verb in the V1 form or V2 form, sorry, this is going to be the past tense. What's the past tense of read?
Read.
Which is written as
Same.
read. Same. So this is in the past tense or simple past. Now the V3 form of the verb is in the past participle. Here is where you write it either in the passive voice, also it's V3 form, and if it's in the perfect tenses, also it's the V3 form. So what is the past participle of read? Read, read. Past participle is also read. Okay, these are called regular verbs, where all the three, where the past tense and the past participle are the same. These are called regular verbs. Give me a minute. So these are called regular verbs. Clear so far?
Yes.
Now, if I have something called irregular verbs, the V1 form of, can you think of an irregular verb? Maybe the most common one, the base form, a very common one, drink. So this is in the simple present. So how do you call, wait, give me an example here. Maybe I'll give you an example over here. So what could be an example? I drink water every day. It's in the simple present tense. Now in the V2 form, it becomes in the past tense. So V2 is the past tense. What's the past tense of drink?
Drank.
Drank. So this is in the simple past. So the example statement will become, I drank water. If I want today, I will say drank water, that's all. Okay. Then the V3 form is the past participle form. So the
Drink.
past participle is
Drink.
drunk, which is in the so the example will become, I had, can you see the had?
Yeah.
Drunk water every day, or I had drunk water every day for the past decade. So this is something in the past. So even if this is in the past perfect tense. Give me a minute. Please pay attention. You don't worry. Just pay attention. I'll explain what I'm meaning. So if I say I have so can you see a difference between these sentences? So this is in the present perfect tense. Can you see the auxiliary verb is in the past tense and the main verb is in the past participle? So this is past perfect tense where the auxiliary verb, which is have, had, has, is also in the past. The main verb is also in the past participle. If you look at the present perfect tense, the auxiliary verb is in the present tense and the main verb is in the past participle or the V3 form. Able to understand me?
Yeah.
So it's just a small thing to understand. So what I was trying to say is, if your word has had or have, if your sentence has have or had, then the verb that you will choose will always be in the past participle. So just to explain what is past participle, I went through this.
Okay.
Verb always has three forms: V1, V2, V3. There's also called V4, which is in the ing form. So don't worry about that. You already know how to make it in the ing form. So V1 is the simple present tense. V2 will be in the past and V3 is past participle. For regular verbs, the V2 and V3 are the same. But for irregular verbs, there is difference between V2 and V3. So for example, irregular verbs like did. What is the do is your present tense, did is your past tense, past participle is done. But what about these words? Sit, sat, sat. So these are regular and these are irregular. Any doubts or only doubts?
No doubts.
So this was just explanation. So all that you will, if I just give you the rules, you might not be able to understand it. That's why I did it from the basic. So in short, remember only this. If you see have or had, then it's in the past participle form. The verb is in the past participle form. Now we go to the other rules. If you see be or been, if this form of be is written, then the verb is going to be in the ing form. I will be coming to the party. I have been coming to the party. So be or been, the verb is going to be in the ing form. If there is a verb after can, could, may, will, would, shall, should, these are verbs of probability. So then the verb is in the V1 form. I can write the letter. I could write the letter. I may write the letter. I will. So unless there is have or had, if there is only verbs after can, could, may, will, would, shall, then it's going to be in the V1 form. But if there is any blank after have or had, I could have, then the verb changes to V3. Okay. Now what I'll do is take you back here. And do you want a break for 1 minute just to clear your brain? Or are you guys okay? If you need a break for a minute, I'll pause recording. I'll time you for 1 minute. You can take a
I need a break.
You want a break for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll stop recording. I'll time you for 1 minute.
Thanks.
Okay. I'll come back after, I'll be right here, but I'll start after a minute. 1, 2, 3. And your break starts now. Start. Reading is not too interesting to do it, but it's good to discuss, understand. Okay. So if this is our question, we try and read aloud. I'll do this together with you, or we can do this together. And for the next 2 or 3 questions, I'll leave you to yourselves. So if you look at this, many parents want their children to grow up with a love of reading. However, recent research dash that children nowadays spend far more of their time using their phones or computers than reading books. However, recent research dash that. What do you understand about this word? That
Work.
Research is singular, right? So this one is
Yeah,
verb.
work.
It's going to be in the S form. Recent research reveals, recent research shows,
Shows.
something in the S form. So, or recent research has
Has
shown.
shown.
So it
Has
can't
shown.
be, so a nonsense option can't be show or showing. It is has shown that children nowadays spend far more of their time using their phones or computers than reading. Of course, technology brings children many advantages, but books are dash important as computers. What do you think is the answers? Books are
More.
more important or as
Worry.
important? Are
S.
as important as
S.
computers. Then if you try and read this one. Many British schools run an event called the World Book Day. This event dash to promote reading to pupils. So this event, it's a verb here, something to
Yes.
promote.
Well,
Maybe something in the S form. This event
aims to.
aims to promote. Then other schools organize World Book Day activities where pupils create music, art, or plays about books. But it's also important for children to read at home too. At the moment, dash parents spend time reading with their children regularly. At the moment, what is nonsense? A little is nonsense because it's quantity, right? So it's a noun showing, an adjective showing quantity.
Less.
So either it is very few or few
Less.
because parents can be countable. Less parents,
Maybe few.
few or very few. So
Mhm.
let's look at the answer. Okay, the
No.
answer is very few.
Mhm.
So you might ask a question as to why is it very few and why not few? It can't be a little because a little is for uncountable nouns or nouns of quality and uncountable nouns, and less is also for uncountable nouns. So if you look at few, uncountable means those that cannot be counted, like a little food, a little time. So it's uncountable. If you look at few and very few, what's the difference between these two? Did you have a doubt why is it few and why not very few? I mean, why is it very few and why not few? So if you have a doubt like that, you should understand what's the difference between these two words. What's the difference between few, very few? So same difference as little and a little. So if I say a little, that means what? This is equal to a little. So you can say a little time, a little tired, something like that. Okay, a little means a little. But if I tell little, so same thing with a few, same thing. Okay, it means there is a little. So if I tell I have a little time, let us discuss the grammar aspects of this. That means what? I have a little time. But if I tell I have little time, that means nada, nothing, no time, zero time. Okay, so if I tell I have little time for all this nonsense, I have little time to do this, so that means what? I have no time at all. So nothing, zero. Same thing with few and a few. So a few means there are a few people gathered. That means there is a few people, there are a few people, few number. But if I say there were few people who understood me, that means it's almost zero. There's no one who understood me. That's the difference between a and. So if I say few by itself, that means it's almost zero. I'm implying that nobody understood me. But if I say very few, that means however small, there were a few. Okay? Is this clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I say there are very few opportunities in the times of COVID, that means very few means there it's the opportunities are quite small in number, but there are at least quite a few, small, very small number. But if I say there are few opportunities, that means almost zero, implying that zero. Okay, that's why we choose very few and not few. Clear? Let's move on to the next one. I'll give you 2-3 minutes. I want you guys to try and use prediction. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about what we discussed now. Only try eliminating, only try eliminating the nonsense options. Try predicting the right option and get your answer. So I'll time you for 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes. When it reaches 3, you'll have to answer me. So tell me when you want me to display the answer. I'll do that.
Can you show the options of first one?
Sure.
Up,
Okay.
options, please. Seen, second one. Yeah, options, please. While, options, please. Protected,
Protected in or protected by. Always pay attention to your prepositions. Anyway, let's look at our answer. So the first one is seen, up, while, and covered. So these words, that's 1, 2, 3 points to reading, 3 points to writing, which is pretty good. So these words, right, brighten up, these are called collocations, okay? These are also called phrasal verbs. Can you please make a note of it? I don't know if my grammar shows that sheet, but make a note of these words, please. There is something called collocations. Have you heard of it?
yes.
Bolor, have you heard of collocations?
Yes.
So your collocations are also quite important. Okay, so please write collocations. So the words like brighten up, their collocations, they're also called phrasal verbs in that context. They're two words which mean something different. So words like, so even phrasal verbs are collocations, but they are made of two verbs. For example, set up, set out. You've heard of all this, right? So run out. Then what else can you think of? Sit down. So if you look at phrasal verbs like this, these are collocations or words that are used next to each other. They're made of two verbs, but they mean a different thing altogether. If I say set up, that means what?
To arrange something.
To start something. He has set up something. That means to organize or to arrange something. Exactly right. Or to set up the computer. That means to, what does it mean? To assemble something or to bring something into order. If I say set out, what does it mean? That means set out means to start. Set out is usually something to do with a journey. She set out on a trip to this place. Then run out means what? It is made of two words, run and out. Doesn't mean running outside, right? It means
Finish.
finished. I've run out of cereal, run out of milk. Set down means what? To place something down, set it down. Okay, so these are called phrasal verbs. These are important, and your collocations other than these are also quite important. Okay, so these are quite important too. So don't look at it from a rule point of view. Okay, then you'll confuse yourself. If you look at it as so many rules to follow to solve these blanks, you'll confuse yourself. These are only aids, only helping tools for you. If you get stuck, while solving them, then run your eyes through these lists and try to find it out. Okay, or when you find the answer, see if you've got any of these rules. That's the way to solve it. You do not have to keep all these as rules in your mind to solve these blanks. So approach that blank with that elimination and prediction method. Keep in mind simple rules such as a and the. You will know, okay, if a word is after an, if there is a blank, then it starts with a vowel sound. So every consonant sound, I'll be deleting. So always think of it as elimination, prediction kind of a method. Understand the context. This is just tools to aid you. Okay, this is not to burden you, it's to help you out. So don't pay a lot of um, focus to this, but instead focus on the context, the prediction and elimination. Okay, and if you can recognize any of that from here, then come to it. So the strategy or the approach to solve your fill in the blanks is run your eyes through the passage just to get an overall idea. Read the passage with a blank and few words after the blank. Okay, then predict what form of word it would be in, like we saw shown and has shown, shows and has shown. So we know that the rest of it is nonsense. And once you get the idea of what form the verb would be and what kind of word we are looking at, then you look at the drop down and try to select the word which is closest to your predicted word. Okay, let's do a few more of this, or maybe I'll show you the next type of fill in the blanks, which is called drop down fill in the blanks. So the time that you should be spending for each of these is 3 minutes per question. So if there are 5 questions, that's 15 minutes. If there are 6 questions, that's 18 minutes. So this passage should take you anywhere from 15 to 18 minutes. Clear? Let's look at the drag and drop questions or reading questions. So here the same rule applies, but what I suggest is here pay attention to your parts of speech as well. When I say parts of speech, I mean noun, verb, adjective, and adverb. Okay, also look at your preposition. See if the verb has matching is compatible with the prepositions. Gives you points only to reading. The maximum time that you can spend per question is 3 minutes per question. So there are about 4 to 5 of these questions in your test, or 3 to 4 of these questions in your test. So each of these questions, so that section should be about 12 to 15 minutes in total. About 3 to 4, 4 to 5. 4 to 5 questions here, and this should be about 12 to 15 minutes in total. Okay. So how do you do it? I suggest you first read the options. Families, demonstration, frustratedly, demographic, audacious, and obsessively. Here, your parts of speech are a little important. I'll tell you how to use them. Much has been said of the Latino vote in this election, which is something I know a little bit about. Having been working dash over it for the last 16 years. Having been working dash over it. Working is a verb. Something that describes a verb is an adverb. So having been working, what is that? Obsessively.
Obsessively.
So working obsessively, because it's ending with ly, you know that it's a adverb
Yeah,
for sure.
adverb.
Latinos are the fastest growing dash. So fastest growing is an adjective. So you're looking at a noun here. Latinos are the fastest growing dash with the largest demographic. That means population. So it's also ending with IC. So you know it's for sure a noun. A Latino youth turns 18 every 30 seconds, while the mode for white in America is 58. The mode for Latins is 11 years old. You heard that right. And it's these new voters and youth who are translating America for their immigrant dash,
Famous.
who are leading the charge for dash change.
Audacious.
Audacious.
Because you're looking at an adjective. What kind of change? An audacious change. It can't be ly, can't put an adverb there. Demonstration. So that's your answer. Let's do another one. I'll give it to you. Okay? And I'll give you about 3 minutes. Try and solve it by yourself.
Sending.
I'll pause recording. If you're listening to me online, and I mean after the recording is posted, then you can pause me, solve this, and then we'll check the answer. Okay. So reorder paragraph is considered to be a headache question for many students. What I want you to understand is your approach to this question type should be not to actually solve it. So how are you being marked for it? What is this question type? How are you being marked? So for your reorder paragraph, it is on your, they take excerpts or they take passages or sentences from a passage in random. So they take sentences from a paragraph in random and they put it in a random order on the left hand side on the computer screen. Okay. Your job is to arrange it in the correct sequence or in the correct order. So this is how it's going to look like. On your left side, you have sentences from the same paragraph, which is given to you in a wrong order. Your job is to put them in the right order, like this. How are you being marked for this? So imagine this is the right answer, 3, 2, 1, 4. This is your right answer. I think I should use my Word document to explain this clearly. Okay. So imagine this is the right answer. So there's A, B, C, D, E, and F. This is the correct answer. Okay. How are you being marked for? You're not marked for placing A correctly, placing B correctly, you're not marked for the positions, but you're marked for the pairs that you make. So A and B is one pair. So you get 1 point. So it's considered one pair of sentences. So you get a point. Similarly, B and C, you get a point. C and D, you get a point, and so on. Imagine this is my answer. I have answered it like this. Imagine this is my answer. So I have answered it like this. So I have C, D, E, F, and then B, A. Imagine this is my answer. Now C and D, I'll get a point for that. So give me a minute. So I'll get a point for C and D. I'll get 1 point. Okay. Then D and E, I'll get a point. D and E is one pair, so I'll get a point. D and E, I'll get a point. E and F, I'll get a point as well because E and F is also one correct pair. So I'll get a point for E and F. But if you look at F and A, do you think I'll get a point?
No.
They're not a pair. So I'll get F and A is 0. Is this clear? Now what about B and C? A and B. I'm sorry, B and A. Sorry, F and B, right? F and B I'll get 0. What about B and A? Are they a
It is
pair?
okay, but it is in reverse.
Yes.
So
They
sure.
are a yes. So they are a pair, but the sequence is reversed, like she said. Okay, B and A, they're not in the right sequence. They are a pair, but not in the right sequence. So I won't be getting any answer for this as well. So I am marked not for the right solution or position, but I am marked for the right pair. I'm marked for the correct pair of sentences. Is this clear?
Yep.
So this is what I'm marked for. So my aim or my mindset is don't solve it, but make as many correct pairs as possible. Not possible, possible. Okay. If you're looking at band 8, okay, provided, so this is kind of a headache question for many students. So it's also time consuming. If you're looking at band 8, provided you do your read aloud the best way and you're doing your blanks, you're practicing your blanks, your job is to make at least one, if it's possible, two correct pairs. Is this clear?
Mhm.
So aim at making pairs. That's all is your job. Okay, this is the marking criteria. Any doubts with the marking criteria?
No. No.
Both of you clear? So you're
Yep.
marked for the right pair in sequence. Now, how to solve this question type, or what are the strategies? So in the Word document that I've attached on chat, it has a strategy for reorder paragraph as well. So I'm just explaining to you how to approach this question. Okay, all these are not strategies, they are just approaches for reading.
Mm.
So how to approach my reading questions or my reorder paragraph? My first job is to read through the options. Can you write it down, or you can go through the Word document that I've just sent you? You go through. So the first step is to
Some
read. Yes, go on.
For some reason, I'm not getting the document in the chat.
You're not able to get it.
No, I didn't receive it in my chat.
The grammar rules and the reading fill in the blanks, you're not able to get it, is it?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll email it to you. Can you put your email down here?
sure. I'll do that.
Okay, just copy it because I'll forget it otherwise. And after the class ends, the chat will also go off. So I'll just send it off to you. Please wait, because I'll forget it. ROP is reorder paragraph.
Okay.
Okay, I've sent it off to you. So now our first approach, let me take a easy question so that it's easy for me to explain, easy for you to understand. Where to search? So this is an easy question just for me to explain it properly. Your first approach is to read through the sentences and try to locate your topic sentence. So this starts, it's a paragraph, right? So you try and read through and you try to locate what is the topic sentence. So how to understand what is your topic sentence? Your topic sentence always is independent. It stands by itself and it does not depend on anything else. It answers its own question. So if you look at this statement, this diet, what does it mean? Which diet is the question that you will ask, right? So this cannot be your topic sentence. If you look at the next sentence, vegetarians do not eat meat or fish in their diet. So you'll be like, okay, so this answers its own question. It could be your topic sentence. If you look at the third sentence, menus in all of these places. So you'll wonder which places or what places. This cannot be your topic sentence. If you look at the next one, restaurants and school cafeteria adjust and amend their menus to adapt to this special diet. Which special diet is the question that you ask. So of these, the only topic sentence that seems suitable or apt is this one. So your first job or your first approach has to try and find out a topic sentence. Is this clear?
Yes.
Now, what is your approach number 2? Remember, your mindset is only to make as many correct pairs as possible. So for you to make pairs, locate a pronoun and try to find the noun of it. So I think I should pull out the PPT. So first approach is to skim through all the sentences and identify the topic sentence. Topic sentence is like this. It's independent, answers its own question, never ever begins with a pronoun. Having said this, there are exceptions to every rule, okay? Approach number 2, to make a correct pair, find a noun and a pronoun combination. You know what's a pronoun? He, she, it, they, them, which. All those are pronouns, right? So you locate a sentence which starts with a pronoun and try and understand what noun it's talking about and pair those sentences together. The noun sentence first and the pronoun sentence next. Are you clear with this?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at the example, if you look at this example, this diet. So this is a what kind of pronoun is this? It's called a demonstrative pronoun. So this diet, which diet? This vegetarian diet. So you know that the noun sentence goes first, followed by the pronoun. So if you look at these places, menu in all of these places, these means there is more than one place. So restaurants and school cafeteria are the places. So the noun first, followed by the pronoun. So this is another way to make pairs. So approach number 1, try and find the topic sentence so that you eliminate one and you'll have fewer sentences to make pairs from. Approach number 2, to make pairs, first thing to do, try and locate a pronoun and then look for its noun and pair them up together. The noun first, followed by the pronoun. Clear?
Yep.
Third approach, approach number 3, to make pairs is to go looking for chronology. So some questions have chronology or sequence of events. For example, if I'm telling you, or if there are sentences which say something happened in 1856 and something happened in 1858, you know that it follows a chronology or there's an order to it, a time sequence, right? Or it could also be a sequence of events. For example, John woke up in the morning, he went for a walk, came back from the work, he took his shower, ate his breakfast, went to work. So you see that's a sequence of events. It's not exactly a time sequence, but it also follows a chronology or an event sequence of event. Okay, so you try to look for chronology if you can't do this. So these are all approaches or this is how you look to make pairs because your aim is only to pair them up. Clear?
Yes. Yeah.
The next approach is this general to specific progression. So you might be given a general statement. You might have a general statement which might say hydrating fluids, or you might have a general statement like tea, soup, coffee, and water are a few of the hydrating fluids. Then you'll have a sentence which narrows it down or becomes very specific, which says, of these, water is the most hydrating of them all. Then it further narrows down, becomes even more specific, which says, and distilled water is the purest form of water. So you see, there's a general statement. Then of all that, they'll narrow it down to a specific one. They further narrow it down to something more specific. So they give a general information and then get more specific and even more specific information. So this is also one way to make pairs. Okay. Another way to make pairs is definite and indefinite articles. Don't worry about it now. Just pay attention while we do our practice classes. When we come across this, I'll tell you, but this is not too important. We don't have a lot of time now. Okay. The next one is this fourth one. Subject, verb, object. And you see, the object of the first sentence would become the subject of the next sentence. The object of the first sentence would become the subject of the next sentence. Take a picture of this if you want to, please.
Yeah.
Done?
Yeah.
Now let me take you
done.
back to this. So remember the sentence that I was telling you? The subject of the first sentence becomes the object. So if you look at this one, can you see vegetarians do not eat meat or fish in their diet? So the subject is vegetarian, eat is the verb, and the object is diet. So the diet becomes the subject of the next sentence. Can you see this diet?
Yeah.
Same thing here. Menus, just amend their menus. So here the object is menu, and here menus become the object of the next sentence. So this is also a very commonly occurring approach. So you might need to use all of these approaches to make at least one or two pairs. So remember, your job is only to make pairs. Even if you do not locate the topic sentence, your job is to simply make pairs. For that, you choose noun-pronoun combination, subject, verb, and object. Object of the first sentence becomes subject of the next one. The general to specific progression, chronology, to whatever it takes, you go looking to make pairs. Is this clear?
Yeah. Yes.
So you can check your answer here. The time now is, we are already past 1 o'clock. Sorry, we don't have enough practice time for these questions, but that's the end of our reading section for today. And that's all. We've covered all the questions, but I wish we had more time to do this question type as well. Can you guys practice these at home? And if you've got any doubts and anything that you would like me to explain, please, you can email me on Ruth. I'll just put it on chat. So anything regarding anything with PTE, let me know and I'll help you out. So I'll see you again tomorrow and we can do writing tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry for the abrupt ending. I didn't realize. Okay, all right then. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Same to you. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Mm.